Non, ils sont tous là. Puis s'il y a des problèmes, ça allait voir Denis. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our regular meeting of November 14.
They are available at the back. Translation is being provided. Yeah, voilà, madame.
So, as always, we will start with the national anthem. Now, the council's reflection. Us municipal officials are committed to look in our community favorably and inspiringly. We're also taking the responsibility to always have a right judgment and at any time during our discussion, so all our actions are efficient, inspired, and oriented towards the wellness of the citizen of this town. And before we start the rest of the meeting, I would like to remind you we are gathering on the traditional unseized territory of the Mi'kmaq and Wolastoq people. Good evening, council members. So you have in front of you like the agenda. So we did the first one, confirmation of quorum. And we're noting the absence of Councillor Sylvie Colette Boudreau. She's outside of the region this evening, so she will be here for the next meeting at the end of the month. Do I have any council members who would like to declare any conflict of interest on this evening's agenda? Seeing no indication, thank you. 4, adoption of the agenda. So you have a copy of the agenda. So we need a motion to adopt. Councillor Paul, I would like to add something on the agenda, if you allow me. Item number 11, unfinished business, water access. Okay, thank you. So you are moving the agenda as modified with the modifications. Do I have a seconder for this moved by Councillor Emile O'Brien? Two other Councillor Janice. Yes, 12.1. So this motion is not written. It's not inscribed. So we'll give you like a. So there won't be any vote. It's only an explanation. So we'll give you an explanation instead. Councillor Patrice, I would like to talk about 2-3 things, but do we need them to add to unfinished business? Is it like information request or an item you would like to discuss? So for the request from the Lobster Festival, the letter we received, so which should be 11.2. So would like for us to discuss. So it's not only like information requests. 11.2 Lobster Festival. Nothing else, so you said a couple of things. So the others would be information. So it sounds good. So we have, so it move originally by Councilor Paul. So are you in favor of those additions? All those in favor to adopt the agenda, saying by saying aye, against nay. Carried. Thank you. 5.1. It's minutes of October 31st. So you should have all received it. I would need a motion to move by Councillor Janice Cormier, seconded by Emile O'Brien. Questions on the motion? On the minutes, errors, omissions, things that were not clear. If not, all in favor saying aye, against nay, carried. So we have 3 presentations from 3 citizens. So we're allowed maybe like 10, 12 minutes, something like this. So we can go through like the 10 presented. First, we have Mr. Ama Arsenault. Good evening. Good evening, Mr. Arsenault. So yes, so we had a correspondence. It was a short correspondence in 2 languages. So I think you wanted to develop on this. Certainly, first, thanks to the council, Mr. Mayor, councillors, and your team to allow us to address you and discuss of our petition. And my name is Ama Arsenault, and we're here, myself and my wife Joanne. We're residents, and we are renters in MJP Investment. So Alex Giroir, probably know him. And I would like to introduce our army of volunteers who help us. So we have Diane Arsenault. She's there with Jean-Guy Chasson. And there's Wilfred Cormier, Paul Desvray, and my wife Joanne is involved. And Roger and Muriel Vautour. It was their wedding anniversary this evening, so we did not want to bother them. As I mentioned, it also, first, it's not a petition like we're giving to the town of Shediac. We're just presenting it because we already submitted it to the province of New Brunswick, to Jacques Leblanc. So we met with Jacques Leblanc a while back. Just want to give you some background information, and he suggested to us because it has to do with the taxation, like the property taxes. And we understand, like the town of Shediac, they have an input. You have a role to play, like when it comes to establish like the rates or the property tax for the property here in the town of Shediac. So yes, we establish like a taxation rate. So we all live in an apartment, Alex Giroir, and there are about 9. So in the town of Shediac. So he's the owner of 92 on Miquelon Street. He has 2 buildings on Webster Street, 2 on La Forêt Street, and 2 on Felix Street. So it all started like when we got a letter like for a rent increase in 2021. So our rent increased $200 per month in October 2021. So in his letter, it was indicated like there wouldn't be any rent increase. Like that was forecasting for a while. Only like small increases at the beginning of January as previously. in July 2022, another letter was indicated like our rent was increasing again, $100 this time. So we decided amongst us, like our volunteer army, what can we do? So at least our civic duty, we should maybe prepare a petition. So that's what we did. So we knock, there's 128 apartments in the 9 buildings. So we have 170 signature, and we presented the submission a week and a half ago. Like I have another one here. If you do that, I did not see the petition myself. So, but I do have another one. So I gave it at the reception. I will read you the petition as it was given to Jacques Leblanc, and so that's where I wanted to present, because we were talking like the cap, like the rent cap they have given by the province for 2022. It will expire on January 1st, 2023. So that's where we have another increase. So that was our focus right at the beginning. But somebody suggested to did you meet with Alex Giroir? Well, that's a good idea. Like, we do not want to put him in a position when he have to answer questions. If we give it to the province first, we want to know, like, we wanted to make sure, like, he was aware. So we met on with him on October 13, and we had a good discussion. He supported us. He says, certainly, like, I cannot support, like, the cap, but on this side of the coin, like, he explained, like, why he had to do it. It was because of the property taxes, like the assessment. So the fact that, like the apartment today, it's all like it's with the double taxation rate for the secondary residences. So our petition addressed this too. And our petition was addressed to Jill Green, the minister responsible like for Service New Brunswick. And I will read what we presented to her. And it was presented to the Legislative Assembly like on October 22nd. So Jacques Leblanc presented it to them. So we started, whereas like a change of owners of the apartments happened in June 2021, whereas at the beginning 2021, the renters received like a notice of a $200 increase taking effect in October 1st, 2021. So the rationale for this one was the increase of the operation costs like property taxes, insurance, and water and sewer. So this notice stipulated that the monthly increase, like the next one, would go back to $10 in 2023, whereas the renters received like another notice on July 1st, 2020 for a $100 increase taking effect in on January 1st, 2023, 10%. So the rationale for these increases are described. So we have like an attachment, and it was especially like the increase of assessment, property assessment, 98% compared to previous year. And it's all like public information. So we look at, whereas like the New Brunswick government has no official mechanism to limit rent increases, and that the actual cap of 3.8% will expire on December 31st, 2022, whereas most of the renters are citizens with a fixed income. Our request is for the provincial government to review like the property assessment of the buildings, because it's a major factor of the rent increase. So a quick verification on assessment of other businesses do not show the same phenomenon of increase. So for the government to limit like the double taxation, so for the provincial government extends the 3.8 cap at least for 2023, and that the provincial government legislates like the future annual increases in a permanent and controlled way. So this is our petition in a nutshell, and it went to the Honorable Jill Green through Jacques Leblanc. So we are giving this information to you because lately, like we had movement with the city of Moncton, so we had a reduction, a certain percentage on their on their property taxation rate on apartment buildings, so or and housing units. So we're we wish like the town of Shediac will do something similar. I know you're in contact with Fredericton, like the Department of Finances, Service NB, at least like to mention this point to them. 170 people who signed, like of 128 apartments, is like 99.9% of efficiency. So we are submitting this petition to you this evening. It's certainly something we will take into consideration. Thank you for your presentation. Thank you very much, and have a good evening. So next item, 6.2. I have Mr. Émile Arsenault. Good evening, Mr. Arsenault. So you have a couple of subjects, right? Can you hear me well? Good evening, mayors, councillors. So this evening, I just want to discuss a couple of subjects. So the first one I would like to discuss is sidewalks on Riverside Drive. Since we have a new building on Riverside, so they build like a new sidewalk on their building. It's really nice. I would like to know if the town could maybe look to do some repair on sidewalks from Main Street to Aval Street. So if they could do some repair, Riverside, like the existing section. So they are in really bad shape. As you know, like my wife works 15, 16 kilometers a day. I see her very often, so I would hope to work for her like to walk on safe sidewalks. And on top of this, like the new apartment building they built on the Riverside Street, so they built like a new sidewalk. So from there, going to a Webster Street, I would like to know if the town could look at building a sidewalk on this section because they call it like the Webster Hill. So I don't know if you're aware, like it's a hill. It's like it's a blind hill and it's a blind turn. Very dangerous to walk there, or either evening or daytime. Like it's very dangerous, like to walk there. So if the town could maybe look at, please build some a sidewalk on this section. I'm not asking like the town to build a sidewalk on all Riverside, but especially on the section going from the new building, the new apartment, and up to a Webster Street. If you could look at this, I know it's something in terms of repair and additions for. It's something like the town is putting like in a priority order. So there are several street and sidewalk really some TLC. So there's when we are assessing them, it's one thing that's being used like to choose like a sidewalk within another. So for new sidewalks, I think for the last 2 maybe 3 years max, the municipal council allocated some funds to add some sidewalks where there's none. So I think we did last year. We built one, and this year we built one on Webster Street. Last year it was on Beaubourg Street. So it's different spots. Like there is a budget, and it's something could look at. So it's something our active transportation committee helps to assess, like in order to essentially like to connect some region to the existing uh, uh, sidewalk system. If you look at this, it would be very well appreciated. So the other matter, it's not a big matter. It's something I noticed like over the last few weeks, like at the Big Lobster, like Omarus. So the lobster traps, like they found like there were some like I don't know where they're coming from after like the Fiona storm. I think those traps were probably sheltered, and I think that something happened. But the little problem I have with this, like just at the entrance of the city, is not a very nice like reception for people coming in. And I know you would all agree with me that at this spot, like this part of town, is the main attraction of the town. So people coming in, and I'm not a tourist, every time I go by this section and I look at my right and I see what's there, it's really not nice. I know you have some bylaw, like you don't want like some types of things on properties, but it really, it's, please look at this and discuss maybe. I think it's fishery. It would be like NFU, like I'm sure they have the MFU. I think they would have a place to store them when it wouldn't be like too visible. If you could look at this, certainly we could ask them like what are their intentions and if they can move it somewhere else. And it would be even worse like for the tourists next summer if they see that. I think the 3-4 weeks. So if you could talk to the person responsible, maybe find another spot. Finally, the subject to a water access, like a future water access, close to the Pèlerin Wharf. So I found like the Englobe Studio, like for the best spot, like for the ramp. It was last Monday at the meeting. I thought it was very good, like the presentation made by Englobe. And the spot I'm talking about, it's the Tubi. I hope, like if it's voted on tonight, this matter, that our councillors will support this project. And if for one reason or another, there would be some members of the council who would be voting against this project, that they would have valuable reasons. So if it's voted on tonight, so I'm not sure what will happen. If it goes through, it's a point of discussion. We're not guarantee there will be a vote. So if it's voted on this evening, I will congratulate the people who would vote for, those who would be voting against it. And I would respect their decision, but if they could at least explain, like give some valuable, some their reason. All the council members, they have the choice to vote. Essentially, it's like so there is no obligation that they have to say why they're voting for or against. I understand what you mean, and I also understand your concern, like on this matter. Last Monday, like at the council meeting, like someone mentioned, like there would be like above 40 to 60 boats per day that would be using this ramp. So this is not really realistic. You were not informed properly. It's not like a Tim Horton drive-through we're asking for, like at the Webster Park. It's a ramp for boats, and it's not really realistic. I don't know where like that number came from, but I heard it during the meeting, like 40 to 60. It's not a real number. I'm 55 years old. All my life I've been going to this area, like, and they were never like 50 to 60. Like really, it's not real. It's not the real information. And also, like for those who are concerned about the size of the vessel that would be put into the water, I heard some rumors like It's like these were not like big boats. I can assure you it will not be big vessels because of the bridge. Like the big boats cannot get under the bridge. So do not be concerned like of big boats like that will go to this spot because they cannot get like under the bridge. And also like the parking because the last Monday's meeting, so there were a few sentences that like 40 spots like the parking. You don't want like to build the spot and then in a few year after like wouldn't be big enough. I can assure you like it would be big enough because the parking at the Big Lobster where there's a lot of activities going on at the Big Lobster with Omarus and all of this like the bus tours, and I counted like the parking spots. It's only 65 spots. So I can assure you, like at the Big Lobster, there's only like 65 places with all the activities going on. So I can certainly like assure you, like the 40 spots at the Webster Park would be more than enough. So the parking at the Big Lobster, it's always full. I wouldn't be surprised, like some people will continue also maybe half a kilometers and maybe park at Webster Park because like the parking at the Big Lobster is always full. So I can assure you for members who want to put like kayaks or boats in the water. So whatever you want, like 40 spots would be more than enough for those who want to use these ones for. So I'm sincerely asking, please, to support this project for water access. I would appreciate it very much. Thank you very much for your comments, and I had two, but some members of the council, so about 10 minutes. Councillor Paul Boudreau. You were the first one on the list. Thank you, Emile, for your concerns and your comments also. For the sidewalks, maybe just to echo like what the mayor said, like I chair like the active transportation, so they can, and you're right, we're working on a strategy to identify like the gaps like with sidewalks. So and we're trying also like to put some criteria like density and some areas of the town there are more people and the dangers also you're referring to. So that's so we have planned for streets and a lot of things, and there was never any strategic plannings over the last. So we invested like 100,000. So I don't know, Lynn, to repair the sidewalk. 400,000, like at least like we have the resources to do so. So that's why we want to develop like the strategy. So that's what we look at for 2023. Thank you like, for your presentation. So the two points you mentioned are really important, and I think also the council should look at to put the two together and not separate, because if we go like with the ramp project, I think like the sidewalks will become like a safety feature because we want like for that area to be safe. So I think like the two should go together and not be separate. I think it should be part of the global plan, like with the sidewalk on one side and the ramp on the other side. So I think the two goes together, and I will definitely support like a global project instead of doing one part, because the safety in this area is what the council wants. They're really concerned. So I completely agree we should work on, and I will support that we work like so for that project to be done jointly with the ramp and the sidewalk. Thank you for your presentation. Councillor Janice. Thank you, Eugene, for this subject on the lobster trap. I see them for a few times, and I do not like the idea. Why do we just put them there, right in the town? So it's especially before like the snow falls in, like if they have to clear the parking lot. I can only imagine like next summer if the tourists see this, so what they will think. Thanks to bring this to us. And also like the second thing, because you mentioned like the parking and we talk discuss about like the green park. So do we have like an average or of the parking? What we saw in your experience? How many people at the time also would be put like? Is it 12, 15, 20, 25? I will tell you, and very honestly, like the most the number of car I saw like over all the years was maybe like in one day. I will say there was a parking. The tourist bureau was there, and this little parking lot. Sometime we would do it three, four cars, and just on the side, the riverside. So a large road. So maybe you would have three, four, five, maybe at the most five vehicles. And out of the cars I mentioned that were in the parking lot, some of them like it was people also buying a lobster at the fish plant and then just eating it at the picnic table. So the most I never saw more. Maybe there's seven or eight cars, and I'm being. I'm not saying there's no traffic, but you will never see like 25 cars at a time or 30 cars parked there. I'm not saying if the town do something nice, it will not attack the kayak fans, because I know people from the Dieppe Mountain, they go to Shediac. Okay, because we live on the river and we see and talk to them. So since it was closed like at the Pèlerin Wharf, so they have no places. So they go between the two highways and it's dangerous. I'm not saying like if you make something really nice, so they want be a bit more people, but I don't think it's great like in the summer in Shediac, like, people want to go on the river and there's one spot, Kennebunkport, Maine. It's a small town, a tourist town, and when I would go there, like we had cars like parked on the side of the streets. We had a hard time getting through it. I find it was great, like seeing people. Like people were attracted to this place. So if people go to Shediac and they want to do some to kayak, and you have a couple of cars like parked on the side of the road, like if they don't bother anyone, because the road is wide enough. And if you have a 40 spot parking lot, will be even better. Thanks for confirming this. Thank you very much, Mr. Aston, and thank you for your time. 6.3. We have Mr. Léo Douaron. Did I understand like you might have a quick presentation? Yes. What, 10, 12 minutes. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, employees of the Shediac Municipality of Shediac. Danny. So we'll talk about the PID 7066803, Daniel and Lisette Pellerin. So you see like the first so you see this is the piece of like where the PID is coming from. So it started last year in 2021. If you look at the property, like even just like in front of the wharf, like it's the property of Daniel and his wife, and just besides was his uncle Eddie, and it was Eddie, and then now it's Odette, and today it's August, and you can see like right on the edge, like it would be north of the Avar Street. It's not like they took the wharf, but they took the whole property, like in front of the other houses. So it means like maybe where the former house of Riton Douaron, so maybe They want this one. So they will go from there and go to the wharf. So they will go to the Shediac lobster shop. So if this happened, so where can people get into the water? Like when I was a kid and I was living not too far, so we would go skate there. We would go. We were always on the water. If you look at the next, I don't know if it's clear or not, but like, so the reason being this. So the part you highlighted, yes. So if you look at this, so it's not online title. So we discussed it the last time when I came it in the fall, and I was hoping by the spring, like everything would be solved. I thought the municipality would they would do something about it. So it means like not online title. It means they do not have. It's not really the owner cannot sell it. So before it can sell it, it has to go through. They have to go back 60 years, and it does change back to 40 years. So if we look at the next one, next slide. If we look at the next one, so the 1900 from service and it's a deed of partial interest. It means there is some interest, but doesn't mean like he has some interest in it, but he's not own it. So because they fill in some paper, like their father and grandfather. When everything took place and we saw all the affidavit, I have them here. Robert was maybe 2 years old. That was 1945. I'm trying to guess his age. The others were not too much older. So the oldest one of the part of the Pèlerin, it was Edouard. Eddie Jr. Eddie. If we look at the letter in 1993, it was dated January 27th. So I was younger than today, and in 1993, me and Paul Bro, like we were representing our ward instead of being like on the councillors, like working on 3 street representing municipalities. That's what should Boba have a ward, because you have Pointe Duchesne, all the town should be divided in wards and with a couple at large. So this letter, I would like for Janet Book to be here this evening, because she was our encyclopedia, like we could say like it wasn't like the problem. The wharf did not belong to them. So if we go on, so that's where I see like that the land of Edward Jr. like so I can tell you in 1971, and it gives us where the it was done by Jeffrey Boudreau. So when I try to identify like the property we're talking about, because a lawyer, like when they did it themselves. So it's not a guy from Beaubassin who did it. So they have to be done. It has to say like north side, east side, south side, so who it affects and all that. So I was in real estate for over 20 years, and I work with this almost every day. It's not anything more, like it's not. It wasn't written by lawyers, and it was Jeffrey Boudreau. If you look with the affidavit for he said yes. He's granting this, and it's always like with all the affidavits you saw, like it's a quick claim deed. It's not a deed. It's interest to own. He cannot sell his house and sold the wharf. He has to prove he's the owner of this. I can give you an example. And something that's weird, like for the retro affidavit, I don't know if it was to cover himself. Oh, he's switching.
Has never been occupied by me and my spouse as our marital home. La maison qui est vendue à Danny,
So the house was sold to Danny was his matrimonial house. So he was saying this property did not have any interest. So how come all of a sudden, it's like he's writing, but in one of the affidavits, like he's showing interest. So the next letter
c'est un quick claim deed.
is a quick claim deed.
Hector,
It's from Edgar Napoleon Robert Reginal.
granddaughters, which vient de dire
The grandchildren. They're just saying it did not belong to them. All of a sudden, like Daniel Pellerin, director for the economic development director of the town of Shediac. So this is his position title. After the, if he had held another position, it would be something else. So you're defending an employee, and you know what? I have nothing against the employee, but at the end of the day, I think there was some conflict of interest. Jeff Boudreau, I discussed with him today, told me, like after he saw the document, he asked Gilles Bello, your director, is there one that the councillor knew like the line with the PID number was being done? I don't think it's the case. So the councillor, anyway, discussed with. So why a director can say like his best friend? So you have three best friends here. How can they say like to Jeff Boudreau, like the town of Shediac has no intention, do not want like the town because like we own a park right beside, and it was used by the citizen of the town of Shediac for over 60 years. So it was the town. Yes, you gave it to me the last time. Yes, at least we can see the pictures. You see them bigger, like. So you can see, like, it was the street on Riverside side a few years ago. So you see what it looks like today. You know where it's coming from? 40 years of work, and the municipality continued like to invest some money like to widen the street, heighten the street at least 35-40 feet, and I think it's even more than that. And then you look here, the other side, like so I took a picture like just in front of Danny's house, and then you can see like from the new building. And so the next picture, what do you see on the wharf? What can you see? Sidewalks. Looks like sidewalks. Paul, did you work for the town like when they were installing like some sidewalks on the Edward Wharf and the banks of Riverside Drive? Yes, can I read? To my knowledge, yes, you're right. I work for the town. I was getting out of community college. So in my memory, we didn't put anything on the wharf, so we put something on Riverside Drive. So the director for public works to protect the Riverside, that, and in my knowledge, and it's not something in 1993 we put some. In 1993, when I said I was on the council, I remember like the answer, like we wanted to keep the wharf. So they put some rocks and sidewalk, and they continued. You see the street where it was then and now. You know how much it costs. You know how much it costs to build a sidewalk. So at the end of the day, it's not like a battle between neighbors, like to start. I find it ridiculous. Like I think the council in April, but and finish it. It's been 6 months. Like like the town of Shediac, like they're frustrated, like they could not put like their boat in the water. What are we paying tax for? So I could prove everything I'm doing. Like, I talked to LMB, like he worked for assessment for 40 years. That's what he did. Like, property c'est Léo. That's what
Don't act on it, because the anglophone, je le dis en anglais,
I'm thinking.
years from now, because the law just changed from 60 years to 40. In 40 years from now, he could say, yeah, I got 40 years interest and sign it to me. Malheureusement, moi, je ne vais pas ici.
Unfortunately, I won't be here, and a lot of us will not be here. By the end of the day, like the taxpayers, the citizen of the town of Shediac, our children, grandchildren, they should have the right, like, to play on Skodok River. We're sitting always home, in front of the TV and in front of the computer. It's at least one thing they can be playing in nature. So that's why we lived in Shediac. And we cannot have something like this. This is Wausau, British Columbia. I was there like this summer with friends. Like we did a boating outing, and that's why I sent like this picture. So Danny, I can understand you frustrated. Like people were peeing in front of your house. I can understand, but I went by the river and I had to be like, if the town would have installed some washroom, like in the Pascal Poirier Park, there was some, no, the Webster Park, like in the 1990s, like the Webster Park. So that's what we need. We need some infrastructure. If we continue to grow as a town, it's not only the building you have to see. You have to see the infrastructure. You have to see like sidewalks, street. You need to have firefighters, like who have the tools to work with. And we need someone on board. It's frustrating that for the citizen, we cannot go to a house. And I can tell you, like, when I bought my house, I knew I was building right beside the festival. I didn't think I would hear council like every couple of days. That's where I choose to live, and it's part of living in a small municipality. At the end of the day, it's not too late. Like the town has to do the right thing, and then you have to do the right thing. Give it up, because so why would we have to pay money to prove like what we already know? We know it's true. I wouldn't be here losing my time. I'm not a counselor. I do not have to come to meetings. It's something I grew up with. I think everyone here, like, they come here and they want their place. Some they had conflict of interest. They shouldn't have shouldn't be working at this file. It's nothing personal. Often I was sitting there at your place, Jean-Claude, or at other spots. And when they brought something real estate, I would say like I have a conflict of interest. I would get out. And sometimes you have to get out of the room because when it's the law. So you're saying your prayer, listen to it. What is it? It's a reflection for the citizen of the town of Shediac. That's all. That's all I'm asking you. Do the right thing. We're not here losing our time. We're here because we love our municipality. I did not work as I did because I want to give you a hard time. I work in this spot because I believe in it. I think we have a great little town. I think we can do better than what we did in the last year on this file, on this matter. Please do the right thing. And so I'm discussing it, you accept it or tell us we're not important, and then but in 4 years from now, other people will do it, make that decision. So really think about it. Thank you, Mr. Douara. I just want to mention you one thing, like following your presentation, either yourself or Mr. Aston or Mr. Pellerin. was in June, like we had to have a legal clarification. So the lawyer from municipalities came in just to give us like the main was simple, like in terms of a question. So if the title was registered, if it was done properly. So I don't. And the answer, like essentially, yes. That's what he told us. It was registered with the owner. It's not something I'm invented. And if someone wanted like to contest this property title, they can do it. But it's with this individual with an interest to do it. Essentially, like it needs a lawyer to do so. It's exactly what I said in April. So what the town should take direction. Do you want the town to contest it? You hire like a lawyer like to contest it. You're asking that. I just told you that yes, like there is a title. Yes, like there's an interest to own, but the town of Shediac would contest it like and hire a lawyer will win. Now for Mr. Gauvin is in charge also with Service New Brunswick. It's not the interpretation I had. Like, do not ask. And let the owner, like, who discussed with the lawyer? The count is it? About I heard enough. Your accusation, Monsieur, I will say something like the council was aware there was no interest because there is a report that was presented to the council done by a firm that was giving some sort, and the council did not go forward. There was no interest from the council in it's not by phone. I communicated with by email, and the council members saw the email. They saw all the decision like taken by the council since like the 10, 15, 20 year, and you Leo Doiron, like you were like a councillor like for the wharf to clean, and at the time like the wharf did not belong to the town. So I have enough of your insinuation. You're attacking my director, Danny. So it's not something. It's not by attacking like people. I will tell you something. Council put a motion, so you would be for you to be suspended because of conflict of interest. The same way you should have be out of the room. This is your opinion. So, Mr. Douara, thank you for your presentation this evening. Have a good evening. Number 7, like reading of correspondence. So we have only one item. The only one, council member. It comes from the our fire chief. So it's is to accept the promotion of recruit senior fireman Colin Robichaud. So our fire chief, Donald Cormier, is asking us to accept Colin Robichaud as a senior. Yet I would like to make a motion to adopt the promotion of Colin Robichaud, moved by Councillor Will O'Brien, seconded by Councillor Germaine Galland. Questions on the motion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye. Against nay. Motion carried. Was the only correspondence. A committee standing and special committee report? No, none. Report to town manager. Usually it's at the end of the month. And number 10. Land for public purposes. Councillor Patricia, if you could read the motion. Well, thank you. The public for Yvonne and Yvonne Leblanc subdivision. Be it resolved that we accept the norm of 2,720 for public use. I shall move. Mr. Mayor, moved by Councillor Bouchevary, seconded by Deputy Mayor Jean-Claude Barry. Questions on the motion? If not, all in favor, saying aye. Against nay. Motion carried. Thank you.
Aux affaires non terminées.
Unfinished business, we had two items. 11.1, water access, Councillor Paul Boudreau. Yes, Mr. Mayor. I would like to make a motion. Since the council members and the administration attended the participation of INGLOBE for the concerning the options of the project for water access, and that's whereas the report shows the benefits and the pros and cons of various options, and whereas like the option 2B, adjacent to Webster Park, Ava Street at the south of Edwards Court, seems to be the most favorable option. I move that the administration continues the step with the engineer council to develop a master plan for water access. The plan should include like a site plan and also like the ramp for water access to this ramp, any safety measures, traffic measures and sign-in measures, lights and other parking area, washroom and the recyclable and the garbage can, and the environmental permits, cost estimate, and also a deadline for the project. I shall move by Councillor Paul Boudreau, seconded by Émile Aubrac. Questions on the motion? Councillor Janice Cormier. Thanks for your the motion. I would like to table the motion for this evening. To do a motion to table a motion, and I would like for the council to meet again to discuss in depth of this project. So this project is done like with the at affordable, and the citizen of Shediac would be in favor of the project. So as I know, we received like an email like from Odette Pellerin, citizen. So we understand like INGLOBE also. So they came with a project of 700,000 to 1 million. I'm just concerned like with INGLOBE, like we have a project and we lost sight of the project because it's a major project, and if we were go again with a big project like this, at the end of the day, like it will not go to the council either. Like the budget will not allow, the money will not be there. I really like the idea of Mrs. Pellerin, like to look at what we can do for next year at a more affordable cost and add it like to the 5-year plans. And I have other questions. I have questions on costs, like other options for the ramp. So what is the minimum we can do to have a ramp next year that will not cost 1 million and cost also to the taxpayer? Mr. Emile answered like for the green space and Webster Street, so we do not have to lose a green space. We do not parking like for a car, and so this project is really important, and I realize how important it is. But with what INGLOBE presented to us, in my opinion, I can't see myself as a council members to adopt like $1 million project for a ramp. If it was the case, we should go public, and I would like for us to meet at least once again before we can contact INGLOBE, because it's not extra money. I think for a local company, they might have also other things we can do, because I discussed with the citizen, Mr. Pellerin, like a concrete ramp, and I really think like INGLOBE also maybe is giving us like part of a solution that is not real, and I would like for us to meet again just to discuss before we bring this motion. I'm not saying like I'm not for it, but I would like for the council to meet again to discuss it and make sure like we're proposing something that will be adopted by the council. So that's why I would like for us to table the motion and have a discussion as soon as possible amongst us to discuss. Can I react? I have a motion like to table. I need a seconder, and then we can discuss on the motion to table. Yes. Do I have a seconder like to table this motion? Nobody. So I'm taking for no. Thanks for your comment, Councillor Janice. I have other people. Councilor Paul as a mover. Just to explain, thank you for your information. You saw this evening, and over the last couple of years, I see there's some steps. So the first is we had study for the whole bay, and then for Riverside, the Squiddock River. The last report we got from Anglo focused on one spot on the river. Seems to be the right one. So the motion exactly what you're asking, to see exactly the cost, like on all the component of this installation. If we're asking experts, they're saying, well, yes, the parking also last week for a concern like it's too much, but we could modify the plans as we go. But so that's why, like, I put the details. So I respect your concerns, like what you mentioned, because we're trying to get into details with to have a good installation. So that's the reason, like, I would like to make this file goes forward, so we can wait and that's all. Thanks, Councilor Paul.
En termes pour le nombre d'autos, là, 100,
In terms like for the cars,
si on met plus
so the presentation is putting more or less 40, like that could be part. We're not saying 100. Maybe someone mentioned 100 somewhere, but it was not from Englobe.
conseiller Peterborough.
Councillor Peter Woodrose, I would like to put a modification to amendment to this motion, maybe to add also like sidewalks to the. That would be my amendment.
Amendement pour ajouter dans le plan
To add to master plan or global plan, to add some sidewalks, absolutely,
vers le sud, là, en partie d'où est-ce qu'il termine jusqu'à la rue Webster.
up to Webster Street.
C'est un amendement favorable pour
It's an amendment also.
on l'ajoute.
I need someone to second if it's
Poseur, puis
it's a friendly amendment. So if the initial mover and seconded, it says it's only a friendly like amendment. Councilor Patricia. Peter with exactly also the same one. For access to water. So I completely agree, like what Paul is proposing. So I have some concerns too, but it's a little bit different also. Like for Councillor Janice, I think we would do something. We should do something right, safe and as Monsieur Arsenault say, if it attracts like 50 people who will put their kayaks, well, we're close to the coast. We should encourage individual. As people playing hockey, people also using, we should encourage them like to kayak or canoe or canoeing, kayaking, and I think the cause is important, but I think our citizens, they should have access to it. And I'm ready to vote to go forward with. So I don't know if, I'm not sure if you shouldn't put like an amount of time like to get a study. I wouldn't to have the study in February that would take like a month. I don't know what is the right to ask like
Moi non plus, mais je veux dire, on peut vouloir,
we
vu d'une semaine, puis ils disent, regarde, ça va
if saying one weekend will take 2 months, like it's not some.
parce qu'on peut fixer une date, là.
I don't know how we can
C'est une date de l'ère du temps.
establish a date like it's something. That's what I understood. Like you ask some Englobe experts, so we're saying would be quick enough. So my wish is when the master plan will be done, like there will be a public presentation as we do with other installation. Like it would be like a presentation, and the designs are there. So the access, the ramp, and Emile asked the right question, and we said like it was. I don't want to put Denny on this. It shouldn't take a ton of time. If we have an option that is favorable, like for by December 2nd, like we should be able to see what we need. the conceptualization and sketches also, and the development also of the road signage, like the review of required permit and the preliminary estimation. So we have a motion in favor for December 2nd. Englobe should have something in place for us by December 2nd.
Ça nous amènerait là.
It would bring us there, and we would be able like to bring this to the first meeting of December to make a decision.
Nous, on tombe de la période après.
So we're looking like after the election that will be done held on December 28th. So between
L'élection, puis la sermentation.
the election and assermentation and the implementation is January 1st. Even if you just do like sworn them in before Christmas, I think it would bring us maybe like in January to do take this decision.
Aussi, même après
And also like even
conceptuel,
after this conceptualization,
préparer des plans,
we need to prepare some plans. We have to go to tender.
ça va nécessiter une autre
So it's another vote like from the council members,
dépense.
and to spend.
C'est pas une petite dépense.
It's not a small expense. Like from what I saw,
Les 4 autres membres du conseil qui vont arriver vont avoir
the other members like they will have their word to say like as anyone else. Like
préférable d'attendre à ce moment.
it might be better to wait maybe.
So, moi, c'est ça que je peux vous dire.
So that's what I'm saying. So we might have been the same situation as the town halls. Like it's with the municipal reform. So but there's no we're not controlling this.
C'est pas moi qui contrôle qu'on ajoute des conseillers. C'est
So I'm not controlling the fact like we adding councillor. It's not the town of Shediac. So
Germaine?
Councillor Germaine,
Moi, j'ai eu des accords avec ça. Moi, je comprends
I disagree with that. I think we should be able to bring to the first meeting of December 1st.
pas ici de tout le temps qu'on est
They were not there while we were here. So this is my opinion.
Peut-être demander à Inglobe,
Could we ask Englobe maybe to,
parce que j'ai aimé moi aussi ce que Odette a dit.
because I like what Mrs. Pellerin,
Elle a dit dans l'affaire qui
Mrs. Pellerin said, yes, like maybe we not need to go big, like maybe not the parking lot. Done. Is this something Englobe could sell? Like
est le plus important à faire.
what is like the most important thing to focus on and what it would cost us?
Peut-être bien, politique,
Even if they did not have like the whole parking lot, so
within 2 ans,
maybe within 2 years, like
budget l'année prochaine ou
instead of having it the next year budget. So could we have?
je sais pas.
Is it something that could be done? Then I cannot see it, like see you, but we could ask it because the cost increase when you because you're bringing your equipment like twice. The benefit like to do it all at once, but at the end of the day, if the council is done in 2 step, well,
Je veux pas que ça nous coûte plus cher.
I know if it costs more, like I don't want us to cost more. So maybe like
Première année qu'on a.
the first year, like we do it.
But si tu me dis c'est ça que c'est ça que c'est.
If it is what it is, that's what it is. Like we said, it will cost more because we'll need 2 tenders, well, 2 bids, 2 different businesses. Might be worthwhile. I'm not saying no, like, but at the end of the day, like as they explained, so what is a class D, is good detail, maybe more expensive or not, like. Are there any items you can remove? Like, the washroom costs 30,000. Then we can say that we do not want this or that. Or we'll put it like on an item if we do not want like washrooms and some we cannot remove. Well, we cannot say we're keeping the trees and we want to build a parking lot like. But some wheeling and dealing could be done if you decide.
Monsieur Patricia?
Councillor Patricia, so thank you.
Pour la prochaine réunion, je sais pas si je peux
For the next meeting, could I ask maybe like our like a finance director, like Paul always mentioned, like a 5-year plan, 10 years?
ça nous aide à savoir où est-ce qu'on va.
It helps us to know where we're going, like at the project 800,000 to 1 million.
Oui, c'est un gros montant.
Yes, it's a big amount, but I think it's worthwhile and it is it's worthwhile doing something well. So I don't know with our 5-year plan to
C'est quoi ça veut dire pour notre situation financière?
know what it means for our financial situation for the next years.
Ça, il faudrait aller aux enquêtes.
Pas quelque chose qui
With how to borrowing board or is it debt rate or
Je sais qu'on n'a pas grand... comme, je sais pas, avoir un petit peu d'informations.
to maybe to have a little bit of information. But I know it's a lot of money, but
Je suis d'accord de faire de quoi de bien puis sécuritaire. Puis,
it's nice to do something safe and nice and take the decision. It's a big amount, like maybe without having an idea. If you could bring this for our the next meeting. Right now, there is no 5-year plan, but I could check.
comme c'est ça,
I could bring the plan. So if we would add like a project worth $1 million, what it would mean for the other project.
merci.
Thank you.
peu importe la nature de
So regardless of the nature of any municipal installation, it has to be done right
il y a des responsabilités.
because there are some responsibilities, liabilities.
Il dit en anglais, faut que ça soit fait, faut que ça soit
So it has to be done and done properly. And if it's through like
pose en bordure d'une rue, donc il y a
if it's near a street, so you have to consider traffic and
d'autres sortes d'installations.
like any other type of installation.
Conseil Peter,
Councillor Peter, yes, Mr. Mayor, I agree. Like we should proceed before the new council is in place. So my question, Mr. Executive Director, I know like for the government level, we are restricted on some decision. Like I think from November 28 until for January 1st.
information que j'ai eue de la province du Québec.
That the information I got from the province of New Brunswick. So the meeting for December 5th that would not qualify. So we would have to work with Englobe to take the decision. Like so, it should be done prior to November 28th, or organize a special meeting. Like because if we wait in January. If we wait January, it might be possible, like the other councillors, that might ask to table this motion because and I think it could drag on and could lose another year. So I would rather work with Englobe and even like if we have to organize a special meeting like prior to November 28th, if we wait till December, I think we might lose another year. Thanks for your comment. So the only thing I can say,
Prenez-les comme vous voulez.
take it as you wish. Like it doesn't bother me, but
Sous peu, dans un mois,
soon, like
2 semaines,
in 2 weeks,
ben, il y aura une élection partielle. Là.
there will be like we will have other elections.
Ces gens-là, puis c'est
These individuals and citizens from the new part of the municipality,
le conseil va faire. Si on
the council, if we take a decision before, the actual council will take a decision, will make a decision that will have an impact on their taxes and theirs, and they didn't have their say.
C'est juste cette question-là.
It's just this issue. I'm not saying like I have the magic answer or the absolute legal answer. It might be something we could check with the provincial authorities.
C'est juste là, là.
It's the same. Like I always understood. I'm not the expert, but I understood like
De la date, là,
the sooner you get to that date, it's
pas faire des
it's not the time to take decision with a important budget impact.
de l'avis contraire. Puis là,
You yeah, you could be in a different opinion, but we still have to manage a municipality. Some decisions were taken like a month and a half ago that could have been taken differently. So I still believe this file is the file we've been working on this for a long time, and I would like for it to be solved. And I can understand the willingness to solve this file, settle this file before. So we have Mr. Deputy Mayor, just a comment for Peterborough. I agree, and it's been dragging on for a while, and I think we should put an end to this. And I agree, we ask Englobe to bring some result as soon as possible so we can take a decision.
donc, nous avons une proposition sur la
So we have a motion on the table to
essentiellement développer un
to essentially develop a master plan for this site
Engager l'administration avec
and to organize to work with the Englobe, our a consultant engineer, to come to a detailed plan. So we add like the sidewalk issue. So we have a quote like there's a variation of 300,000. So it's not fixed. Like as they said, like it's a type of estimate, like just to have a more specific amount. All those in favor signify saying aye.
contre non.
Against nay.
Un non.
So we have one nay, Councillor Cormier. Thank you very much.
Donc, 11 points.
11.2 Lobster Festival. Can I make a motion?
Étant donné que
Since
on a un intérêt d'aller avec l'action,
we have interest in go to be like with just besides like the Pellerin Wharf, so
moi j'aimerais de
I would like to make a motion,
pas qui je devrais
and I don't know who I should ask to mandate, but I would like for us to approach like the landowner
qu'on a un intérêt à ce
or the owner has an interest in this land to know if he would be ready to sell this land. So if we go forward with the option 2B,
d'organiser ce
we will all organize this land, but the land just across this property will still remain as is. Certainly we could look, so we'll do something right. We'll send a letter
À cet égard-là, pour le répondre,
and you can answer, and we will have something in writing. So I do not need to mandate. So great. I do not have to mandate anyone. So it's the administration will send a correspondence. Can we see the letter before it's sent? Certainly.
donc proposé par le Conseil à pétition
Moved by Councillor Bouchevary
aux propriétaires
to send a letter to the concerned owners of that land.
galant,
Councillor Germaine Galland seconds
s'il y a un intérêt à la vente.
to see if they're interested in selling
Son département.
or part with it or
Faut que ça se vende.
make a donation to the town or any,
Tu le donnes, faut que tu le donnes.
even if you give it.
Question sur la
Questions on the motion.
Conseil Poète?
Councillor Paul. Good idea, Councillor Patricia. Just to make sure, like it does not delay the process. So, if it could be done quickly, like with the process with Englobe, so we do not like we do not want to confuse more like Peter and the council. So it does not delay. If it's the case, well, I agree for it to be done as soon as possible. So it might maybe help. Yes.
En faveur, on dit oui.
All those in favor saying aye, against nay, carried. 11.2 is still Patricia. Thank you.
c'est ça, la semaine passée,
Last year we had a presentation from
du président du vice-président.
the president and vice president of the committee of Lobster Festival, and I'm part of this committee. So
Puis leur demande
and their funding request, they have to include it in the request they have for heritage, and they have to submit this request to heritage and be like tomorrow, because they got an extension because the date was already went by. So they said they did a presentation. They would like to know if it's possible, because we mentioned it would be in the 2023, to see if the councillor could still go forward, to see if we could decide if we give them like the funding or not, because if the bigger, like the more partners or bigger the contribution, the more they will fund. So as of now, I think they have 20,000 we have now in the budget for the festival committee. So if they have answered their request prior to January 2023, they would be able to ensure to have a balanced budget with the events, because they could count of a bigger like support. So let's say like because this is the deadline for the extension, so they might have to switch categories for the grant. So is it
C'était pour
C'est pour
les deux ou juste un des deux?
is for the Lobster Festival. So they're just asking, they're submitting a request, but it's just after, like, I think it's January or end of, so they do not need like a request. But for the Lobster Festival, so the extension ends tomorrow. So I don't know if there's an interest on the behalf of the council to develop, if we could ask them like to approve their request or discuss. So I don't know if the councilors need more information. So I think we might have included the amount in the discretionary budget of the council. So maybe it's just to make things go forward, so they can submit their request tomorrow. So
Est-ce que tu veux faire la proposition?
so you want to make the, so I will make the motion like for the Lobster Festival to increase like the go from 20,000 to 75,000 for the Lobster Festival.
Ça, c'était
Ça, c'est
20 à 25.
ça, c'est qu'ils vont
Yes.
poser une demande.
So they will submit a request in January. So you're moving. I shall move. So
Le festival a augmenté.
I think the festival increase. So we're going forward with the festival. So I think they did a great presentation, and we all understood.
Patricia Bourg-Chevalier fait la
Councilor Bourg-Chevalier is moving, seconded by Councilor Jean Mengel.
proposition sur la proposition.
Questions on the motion, Councilor Jean? I know there were two requests. Is it 75,000 for the two, or only for one, not for the two? The other one to go to 20 to 25,000. So it would go from 20,000 to 75,000.
C'est essentiellement
So essentially, like
plus que tripler la contribution.
almost triple, like the more than triple the contribution. So we have it. It's part of our budget, discretionary like budget. We have an amount like that should be more than sufficient to take this amount. I have a question for Lynn. It would be like a local expense because as a subvention, like for the share expenses. So
Parmi dans le fond, est-ce qu'il y avait d'autres items qui étaient
so any other items like that were we had.
pas de chiffre encore, mais on sait qu'il va venir.
We know it's coming because
D'ici à la fin de l'année.
by the end of next year. Anything else?
Cette année, il y avait, on savait qu'on allait avoir des dépenses pour la salle du conseil.
We know they would have some like
Je veux dire, mais on avait mis ça de côté, mais on ne savait pas combien que ça allait être. Y a-t-il quelque chose de semblant?
do we have it
23?
something
Oui,
for 2023?
on n'a pas voir là. OK. Parfait. Merci.
I did not understand. So you, yes, there are some expenses, but like the fund that is not allocated,
Ils vont venir, mais ils les ont pas comptabilisés encore.
they're not being accounted for, so they're not able to do so. So
On va les enlever 75 000
so we'll take away 75,000, 55,000.
plus de ça. Mais il y a un montant, il y a un bon fond.
There is a good fund. So was this fund made to cover like except like the anything unforeseen? It's the same fund you have every year.
Parfait. Donc, proposition sur la table.
So it's a motion on the table. Question on the motion. Any more questions?
En faveur,
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Against nay.
adopté. Merci.
Carried.
Ça, c'était les affaires non terminées.
Unfinished business. Introduction to new business. So we have
Pour le barré fermé de façon
to permanently stop up and close a portion of Boudreau Street. So we have an explanation. So I had a discussion with Jeff Boudreau from the Regional Service Commission concerning Boudreau Street. Boudreau Street, it became a trail, and the trail is part of the street. So it should regularize this situation. So it was closed in the past, and legally, like it's still a street. It goes up to Pascal Poirier Street. So we would need like a resolution. So I would, if you could bring a resolution to close part of Boudreau Street, just to regularize the situation.
Il y a des choses spécifiques quand tu fais.
We have specific also when you close. Jeff will be here and will be able to explain everything. So it will, yeah. We will have it at the end of the month.
Numéro 13.
13, inquiries by members of council. I don't know, any matters you had questions or?
Conseiller Janice Cormier, là.
Councillor Janice Comey. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So
Le micro de ton voisin, si tu veux.
I can close like I like my neighbor, Mr. Denis. Just to put you on the spot. The canteen at the Shediac Arena, you mentioned a few times, I know they're not here, like. We have a hard time finding someone like to take over, like we have like a tender, like for someone we could bid like to get the canteen with the, I think it's a rental fee. It's not there anymore. I know like you did a lot of contact with non-profit organizations. So is there anything else we can do to have a canteen at the arena as soon as possible? Especially like with the tournament, so they will operate like the canteen. So I asked if they wanted to operate the rest of the year, but they didn't. Was not interested. So the other option we looked at is to do it like as we do like for the Barras, the multi-purpose center, when we hire someone who manages. So that's what we're looking at right now. So we're not exactly there. So that's what we're looking at. We're looking what it means, and at the end of the day, I know the town is not there like to. So it's all the question we have, the cost, and for the municipality, manage those products and make sure we are following like the public health regulations. So it's an option. You still have something to. That's something we're looking at, like. As for non-profit, that there's not even to reduce, to have something like even if to reduce like the canteen not having frying, at least having something. But for now we have to make sure like it's like so like the vending machine did not work, so we have some products like we have like food, pop, juice, and that's the only options we have like to offer like a canteen service. So I saw like the town of review put something on Facebook. So could we have something on Facebook? Maybe I know they had something for their canteen at the arena. Could we try something else? Maybe, yes. I have to be honest. I talked with several individuals. At the end of the day, we don't make money the way we are. Business-wise, does not make sense. Like we could try again. I like to have the visibility at least to try to help and find someone. So if the communication could be on Facebook too, and we'll go from there. Councillor Germain, you're next. Councillor Paul Bossous. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to tell you that the Christmas parade that will be held on November 25th. Usually the council is given distributing hot chocolate and Christmas candy canes. So I would just add the council, if you're ready to participate, will need someone. And secondly, the Tree of Hope will be held on November 24th. So it will be November 24th. Is it 6 or 7 o'clock?
Ça, c'est le Radioton, là?
I think it's the Radioton. Like we will like the L'Homme de l'Espoir. So we will like the tree at the park. And you will decide if you want to distribute like a hot chocolate. I will be there, no problem. Encourage everyone. It's great. Like since 2019, we did not do it. So usually we're there at 6:30. So the parade's at 7 o'clock. So we're trying. Last year when we did it, usually before I think it was a DJ at the park, so we're doing the opposite. We'll try to get the DJ at like on Main Street before the parade, so we could serve maybe the hot chocolate a little bit earlier than what we do it. Like the DJ will be at 6 o'clock. Pascal Poirier, downtown park, and also like if we could serve maybe hot chocolate starting at 6:15. So usually people are there early. So
Voilà, décommencer le monde.
once the parents they want to see what they're not looking for hot chocolate. They want to see the parade. Thank you very much,
Conseil Paul?
Councillor Paul. Yes, just to add, one of the last meeting we had like a strategy like for to hire the next executive director. So where are we on that file?
Essentiellement, j'ai eu des
And so
conversations
I had discussion with a recruiter,
puis les headhunters.
a headhunter, we would say. Like,
Ben, un beau terme.
it's not really a nice term like in English, but I'm still
Il
waiting
est
for.
certainement très intéressé. Il finit un
He's
contrat
very interesting. He's ending a contract.
il y a quasiment pas après-demain.
It should be done like tomorrow,
Après, il y a une
and
offre de service.
he will offer like our it's a service offer, and then
On va vous donner puis de l'apporter de nouveau ici à vous autres.
and you will be able to bring it back to you.
On aura un point de départ.
At least we will have something to start. Will there be like a deadline
Ça vient
soon?
avec ça vient avec
It
son
comes
temps.
like with the detail, yes.
Merci beaucoup. Le deuxième item, je sais qu'on a fait référence tantôt
I know like the second one, like
à la ville, mais
like the when we get down, like the once the construction is done, like
je sais qu'on a fait référence
I know we refer to NJ. It's always a the 200 Main Street. I think Councilor Laura was here. It's been way back. Also, the quality of that house, of the building. I know, like we're recruiting for another individuals. Like, could it be one of the first tasks? 200 Main Street. Maybe a nice coat of paint would be nice or something. It's just my concern, like to have a nice with the lobster trap. We're hoping they'll be gone soon, but for to have a nice Main Street. Thank you, Gilles.
Conseiller Patricia, on se
Councillor Patricia, and then the deputy mayor. I would just like to bring.
On avait eu la présentation.
We had the presentation from Inglo for the study on speed on Beaubridge. It was not analyzed, and
Enlever les four-way stops.
after we remove
Voir si on a eu des nouvelles ou savoir jusqu'où ça en va. Si les
to see what to
peut-être rester là pour peut-être rien faire.
might stay there and nothing will do. Like
Faire du coup pour ralentir le trafic.
we need to do something like to slow down the traffic. I understood like 18 individuals that were to go to the bus stop,
Car passé.
and the cars were going back. So don't know like the water is winter is coming. So
à la dernière
I know like
on voulait, vous avez présenté ça, on voulait avoir un petit peu
they
plus
presented to this. We wanted to have more data or indication with the data they receive.
c'est pas eu à mon connaissance. Je
I didn't. Could we check where they're at, or
viens de rentrer en service là.
I know Robert, you just started. Like I have no update so far. No,
Ça va venir.
It will-
C'est pas inventer des données.
it's not to invent any data. Like would it be possible to know at least if they put in place like a limit like the street? I'm looking at the posts. Like are they analyzing it, or they still have some catching up to do? Maybe to check like winter is coming soon. If we want to do something like
Merci.
Merci. Oui.
juste aviser parce que si on avait convoqué
just to tell you, because
la sécurité,
I know we had a like the protection committee meeting, and
puis ça c'est certainement sur l'ordre du jour.
it would certainly be part of the agenda. So,
Monsieur le maire suppléant.
Mr. Deputy Mayor was for Mr. Denis
Cantine à l'Arena.
for the canteen arena. Is it something
Non dire, ils jouent au hockey.
it's like for the
C'est ça le hockey.
Louis Jouy Robichaud School, like the hockey association? Parents are involved. I know in Capelé, like
Qui fonctionne la cantine présentement.
so they are working with this canteen. So.
Peut-être Philippe, peut-être qu'eux autres pourraient-
Maybe if you could contact them, like they could put something together and kept it. They're not serving any fries, but there's something the same challenges. And I think they found that we were supposed to have a joint tender, but I did not get anything. So I think they found someone. We approach like the groups, and we cannot force like the group to do so. We had discussion with many groups. There's not much. You knock on a lot of doors, and it's hard to find any door. Maybe you approach them and they're able to do so, and they keep the profits for them. And it helps them with the hockey, and at least like they would have a service there. So
Il n'y a pas d'intérêt.
yeah, there's no interest. So
Parfait.
perfect.
Lecture de arrêté.
Introduction and reading of bylaws. So no bylaws this evening. 50 linguistic landscape. Mr. Deputy Mayor, can you read? No. Pump House Breweries and René Cormier. Therefore, be it resolved that the town of Shediac provide reimbursement to the following merchants, and that the funds used for said reimbursement be taken from the language landscape budget, account 1-26425. Set 730752 NB Inc. Pump House Brewery, $4,000 plus HST. René Cormier, PC Inc. Lawyer, $1,274 plus HST. I shall move. Moved by Deputy Mayor Jean-Claude Bertin, seconded by Councilor Emile O'Brien. Questions on the motion? If not, all those in favor saying aye, against nay. Carried. Councilor Paul, if you can read 15.2 languages? No, only in one, because translation is here. So. Transfer of funds, general capital funds. Therefore, that the sum of $200,000 from the 2022 budget be allocated for economic development purposes to the general capital reserve fund stipulated in section 4 bracket 1 of bylaw 97-145 and as specified in section 7 of said bylaw. The further use of this amount shall only be made by resolution of the council. I shall move, moved by Councilor Paul Boudreau, seconded by Councilor Germaine Galland. Questions on the motion? If not, all in favor saying aye, against nay. Carried.
Numéro 16, nomination au comité.
Nomination to committee, we have no nominations for this evening. 17, adjournment. Councilor Germaine Galland moving the adjournment of the meeting. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.